I never thought I'd be a father. Not in this lifetime, not under these circumstances, and certainly not in the middle of a war between humans and the Zalari, a race of genetically enhanced aliens whose technology made our best weaponry look like toys. Yet, here I was, standing in the dim corridors of the research station orbiting Epsilon Prime, staring into eyes that mirrored my own. And those eyes had just called me Dad. It started 3 weeks ago. I had been assigned to the United Earth Colonization Force, a small contingent sent to scout this remote solar system. Our orders were simple: map habitable planets and report any signs of life. What we weren't told, what nobody was ever told, was that Epsilon Prime harbored a secret laboratory buried beneath its icy crust. The Zalari were not just observing humanity, they were experimenting on us.
On me.
I was Commander Ethan Hale, 38, decorated for bravery in the Andromeda skirmishes, but unprepared for what was about to unfold. Day 1, the discovery. The first sign of trouble came in the form of a containment breach alarm. I had been in the hydroponics bay, checking nutrient levels for our experimental crops, when the siren shrieked.
My heart sank.
Zalari containment units were not to be touched. Ever. I ran to the lab's main observation deck. That's when I saw her, a small girl, no older than 7, crouched among overturned equipment, her wide, luminous eyes scanning the room like she understood every danger in it. Her skin shimmered faintly under the artificial lights, a faint iridescence that marked her as part Zalari. Yet her eyes. There was something painfully human about them. I raised my voice, trying to keep calm.
Hey.
Are you okay? The girl froze, then bolted down a narrow maintenance shaft. I didn't hesitate. I followed, boots clanging against metal, lungs burning. Every instinct screamed that this wasn't a normal rescue. And yet, I couldn't turn back. I caught her at the edge of the station's power core. She wasn't afraid anymore. Instead, she stared up at me with an intensity that made me shiver. You're my dad, she said. Her voice was melodic, unnatural, yet familiar. I froze. Every rational thought in my brain screamed denial. That was impossible. Kid, you're mistaken. No, she interrupted, stepping closer. You don't remember because they made you forget, but I know. You're my dad. The station lights flickered, and I noticed markings on her arms, complex glyphs that seemed to glow in sync with her heartbeat. The Zalari had been experimenting on her and me. Somehow, I realized they had been hiding a truth I wasn't ready to face. She was my child. Day 3. The memory shards. Over the next 2 days, I tried to make sense of it. The girl, whom I learned was named Leora, didn't speak much beyond fragments of the past. But she could access memories I didn't know I had. Memories of a relationship I didn't remember, of a mission gone wrong, of decisions made in the shadows. Using the station's neurointerface, I allowed her to upload some of her memory shards into my own neural network. The first wave hit me like a shockwave. I remembered her mother, Dr. Celine Arden, a brilliant geneticist who had vanished during a mission to the outer colonies. I remembered holding a small child in my arms, promising to protect her. And then nothing. The memory stopped abruptly, blocked by a neural lock. You've been programmed, Leora whispered. They wiped your memory, so you wouldn't find me. But I remember everything. It was hard to accept. My life before the UECF felt like someone else's dream. Yet, in those moments, seeing her face, hearing her voice, feeling the unshakable bond between us, I couldn't deny it. This child was mine. The Zalari assault. We didn't have long to reconcile our confusion. The station's AI flashed red. An incoming Zalari strike team was en route. Their goal was clear. They wanted Leora, and they wanted me contained. I grabbed a pulse rifle, motioning for her to stay close. Stay behind me, Leora. No sudden moves. She didn't hesitate. Instead, she extended her hands, and faint blue energy radiated from her fingertips. The Zalari soldiers charged the doors, expecting resistance, but Leora's power erupted in a wave, disintegrating the lead shielding with a hum. I had never seen human or Zalari energy behave like that. "Dad, I can do this," she shouted, and I realized she had inherited more than just my blood. She had inherited the courage to face impossible odds. We fought side by side, moving through corridors as alarms blared and lights flickered. Each time I fired my rifle, she unleashed energy waves that knocked Zalari back. I had fought alongside elite squads before, but nothing compared to the synchronicity I felt with Leora. We moved as one, instinctively anticipating each other's next action. By the time we reached the shuttle bay, only a handful of Zalari remained. And then, the station began to destabilize. The escape. The station's core was failing. Leora's energy had overloaded the containment fields, triggering a catastrophic chain reaction. I looked at her, fear and awe battling in my chest. "We have to go.
Now,"
I shouted, pulling her toward the escape pod. As the pod ejected into space, I watched Epsilon Prime explode in a brilliant cascade of light and fire. Debris scattered like stars, and I realized that everything we knew, everything we had fought for, had just been erased. Leora clutched my arm, eyes wide but smiling. "We survived, Dad." "Yes," I whispered, my throat tight. "We survived." A new life weeks later, we arrived at a remote human colony on Titan's orbit. It was small, unremarkable, but safe. I had spent my entire adult life chasing duty, missions, medals, and in one whirlwind, I discovered that the greatest mission of all had been waiting for me: fatherhood. Leora adapted quickly to human life, though she never lost her Zalari traits. Her powers were immense, but controlled. We trained together daily. She learned to modulate her energy, to read human emotions, to trust others. And in return, I learned to let her guide me in ways I never thought possible. One evening, as the twin moons of Titan rose over the icy plains, she ran up to me, her small hand in mine. "Dad," she said softly, eyes shining, "I've been waiting my whole life to find you." I hugged her, feeling the warmth I hadn't realized I was missing. "And I've been waiting too, Leora. Waiting to be your dad." Her smile broke through the shadows of my past. In her eyes, I saw a future I could believe in, a future worth fighting for. The universe was vast, dangerous, and often cruel. But in that moment, I realized something profound. No alien empire, no military protocol, no interstellar war could erase the bond between a parent and child. Even in the cold void of space, love endured. The truth beyond memory. Months passed. Leora and I uncovered more about the Zalari experiments. It turned out the project wasn't just about creating weapons or spies. It was about testing human resilience, about engineering a hybrid capable of bridging species. Leora was the first successful subject, and I had been unknowingly programmed to protect her from afar. I thought about all the missions, the battles, the losses. Every decision had led me here, to the revelation that I wasn't just a soldier in the galaxy's endless conflicts. I was a father, and perhaps, in this vast, indifferent cosmos, that was the greatest triumph of all. We didn't just survive the Zalari. We became a new hope, proof that humanity's strength lay not just in technology or tactics, but in love, courage, and the unbreakable bonds that define us. Epilogue. Eyes that see the truth. One quiet evening, as Leora slept, I looked at her resting form. Her hands twitched slightly, echoing the pulse of the stars outside our habitat. And I understood something profound. Memory could be erased, history rewritten, and identities hidden. But the truth, the core of who we are, always finds a way to shine through. Her eyes, radiant and unwavering, had revealed that truth to me. And in that revelation, I had found my greatest victory.
"You're my dad," she had said.
And in saying it, she gave me the universe itself, a universe worth defending, a future worth believing in, and a love that transcended time, space, and even memory. No alien, no war, no dark secret could take that from me. I was Ethan Hale, and she was my daughter. Together, we would face whatever the stars had in store. Months after arriving at the Titan colony, life settled into a cautious rhythm. Leora adapted to human society quickly, but she never lost the faint shimmer of Zolari energy that marked her as something more than ordinary. Her powers were a constant reminder of what had been done to her and to me, but also of the resilience that humanity could produce when pushed to its limits. We spent long nights in the observation decks, looking at distant stars. Leora would often ask questions about the Zolari, about the experiments, and about me. I told her what I could, always the truth, as much as the fractured memories allowed. And slowly, she helped me piece together what had been stolen from me. Not just my memories, but years of my life that had been shaped to prepare me for this reunion without my knowing it. One day, a transmission arrived from the UECF. They had detected anomalies in the outer systems, Zolari patrols probing human colonies, searching for the hybrid child. It was only a matter of time before they discovered us. I took Leora's hands in mine. We're not hiding anymore. It's time to fight, not just to survive, but to show them what humans can do when we fight for what matters. Her eyes glowed faintly in agreement. I'm ready, Dad. I'll fight with you. The Zolari attack came just as predicted, but this time, we weren't alone. Humans from nearby colonies had joined us, inspired by stories of a child and her father who had survived a war they couldn't have imagined. Leora led the defense, her energy waves forming shields around civilians, while I coordinated tactical strikes. The battle was fierce, but unlike before, we had allies and hope. Every time Zolari forces tried to break our lines, Leora's abilities, combined with human ingenuity, forced them back. In the midst of chaos, I realized something fundamental. This wasn't just survival. This was humanity proving itself. Against an enemy that seemed unstoppable, we stood tall. And I stood beside my daughter. After hours of combat, the Zolari withdrew, defeated not just by weapons, but by the unbreakable bond between father and child, between humans fighting for their own. The station may have been lost, planet scarred, but our message was clear. Humanity could endure anything. A legacy rebuilt. In the quiet aftermath, I built a new home for Leora and me on Titan. We created a training facility, not just for her, but for humans who wanted to learn to defend themselves against the Zolari. Leora taught them to channel their fears into focus, to harness resilience, and to trust one another. Lessons she had learned from both sides of her heritage. She grew stronger every day, but never lost the warmth, the laughter, and the curiosity that reminded me she was still a child. One evening, as I watched her helping a group of young recruits, she ran up to me and hugged me tight. "Dad," she whispered, her voice full of certainty, "we're going to change everything. Together." I smiled, the weight of past regrets lifting. Yes, Leora. Together. The truth had been hidden, memories erased, lives manipulated, but it had not been destroyed. It had endured in a child's eyes, in a father's heart, and in the courage to stand against impossible odds. Humanity was more than flesh and bone. It was heart, spirit, and the capacity to love fiercely, even when the universe seemed determined to take everything away. In the months and years that followed, our story spread across human colonies, a legend of the hybrid child, her father, and the day humans stood unbowed against a superior force. Leora became a symbol not just of strength, but of hope. And I, once a soldier who had thought his greatest victories were medals and promotions, learned that my true legacy was being her father. Every time she looked at me, I saw the universe reflected in her eyes. Every time she called me Dad, I felt a bond stronger than any weapon, shield, or starship. The Zalari had tried to manipulate us, to control us, to erase what we were, but they had failed. Humanity endured. And in Leora, I had found a piece of myself that would never be broken. No matter how vast the stars, how deep the void, or how cunning the enemies that awaited, we were ready. Because some truths, love, courage, and the bond between a parent and child could never be erased. And in that, I found the greatest victory of all.